Hi, my name is Mike Koenigs.
And I'm Marisa Brassfield.
And we are the founders of Superpower.io. And what we're going to talk to you today about is a question I get all the time, which is, hey, what's the studio you're in and how does it work? And as I like to say, this is the best tool to have in your sales and marketing arsenal. And I'm going to explain why, and Marissa's going to ask me some questions. So let's begin, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Okay. Well, one of the things that is important here, and as I look at you, this is a completely automated studio that does not require anyone to run it. So I am actually switching live using my feet, believe it or not. This is a little more advanced than most people would want, but I'm going to talk about this thing because the benefit of having a studio is I only do video proposals. I never do written proposals. I have conversations, which are alignment or enrollment conversations. And this has also given me access to, in my case, a TV show that I'm on called Elevator Pitch with Entrepreneur.com. I'll tell you a little bit more about that story as we move forward. So again, Marisa is going to ask me some questions as we move forward, and I'm going to tell you about what all the gear is and what it does. So I'm going to turn to the screen right now. And first of all, not too long ago, I spent a lot of time on the road speaking and presenting. And a lot of executives come to me and they're like, I got to get off the road. I travel too much. Having a studio enables you to have deeper, more intimate connections with people. And again, you can create content and touch them in ways that is very, very professional. Okay. Next up, this enabled me to have a total reinvention. I had a very complicated business life, and I got rid of that. So, and the reason I did it is because of the family, my wife and my son. And again, I'm sharing this with you mainly because the studio has provided a tremendous amount of capabilities beyond what I had before. And one of them is just getting off the road. So on with the gear. Let me first of all show you, what I'm demonstrating here is you already saw the environment when Marisa and I were showing up, and you can see it right now. I've got textured walls. I bought all this on Amazon, and they have really, really good products for that, and also some lighting. I'll tell you specifically about the lights as we move forward. Now, the device that I'm using for switching is a Livestream HD 550. It's basically what's known as a studio or a switcher in a box. Again, probably a little more sophisticated than what you'd want personally. There's a much more affordable solution. It's called the Sling Studio. They're around $2,500, and it's a standalone box that allows you to plug in up to 4 video sources wirelessly. So you can connect, let's say, 3 cameras and do a wireless shoot. And let me just show you what this looks like. So in our case right now, this is camera 1, or the medium shot with Marisa and I on it. Camera 2 is me. I'm looking at you. Camera 3 is Marisa. She's looking at you. Point, point, point. Okay, in my case, camera 4 is the computer. So I can cycle around. And again, I'm using my feet to do this. I also have another hardware solution. Now, if you had an operator present, they would be pressing the buttons for you. Now, in the case of the Sling Studio, this allows you to switch or press between the cameras using an iPad or a Macintosh, not a PC, and it records all of the sources and what's known as the program or the output to a chip. It also will broadcast to Facebook or YouTube. Really good deal for not a lot of money. Next question, the cameras. Now, I have high-end cameras in here. They're the PANASONIC LUMIX GH5s, which are around $200 to $2,500 with good glass, good lenses. Now, you can get the basic one for a little bit less than that. And if you don't have that big of a budget, the Sling Studio lets you use iPhones or iPads or cheaper cameras as well. In my opinion, for me, I want to look brand representative and have broadcast quality. This has enabled me to secure investments from people who work with me for $150,000, $250,000 and more, and also access to television. So to me, it's worth a couple extra bucks. But you could get a good DSLR camera for around $700 with a good lens. All right. So next up, I have an iMac Pro, and then for my slides, a MacBook Pro. That's what you see right here on my desk. And across from me, that's where I have the live stream box positioned. In my experience, the iMac Pro is the fastest, highest quality piece of hardware I've ever used in my life. I positively hate Windows computers with a passion. I find them to be just horrible, and I don't like any of the software on them in general. So I am biased, but I give Windows, well, the live stream is a Windows box, and it's a nightmare. So I prefer for doing video and my audio production to use this. All right, next piece of hardware. This is what I'm running my audio through. So this is a RODECASTER Pro. It costs about $600. You don't really see it right here. It's sitting next to me. It's on my desk. But what it has on it are up to 4 microphone inputs. It records to a chip. It also will let you record audio. Let's say if you do a Zoom call, I can record from the USB. I can also record from a phone, or what's known as a TRS input, and also Bluetooth. You can connect a Bluetooth phone to this thing if you're doing an interview show. It also has what are known as pads. Those are little colored things on the side for doing sound effects. All in all, this thing is a dream, and I always record my audio on a chip, and I've got a backup. And it also, if you can hear me right now, it makes your voice sound like you are in a radio studio. Beautiful. Next up, what are the microphones? So what you see, Marisa and I both using here, is known as a SHURE SM7B. So that's what you see up against her beautiful face, and what I'm using as well. The SHURE SM7B, you can see a picture of Joe Rogan. This is a professional broadcast mic. The next level down that also sounds really, really good is a SHURE SM58. It's used by every vocalist in the world. They cost about $100, and they sound awesome. Most people can't even tell the difference between these. I like it because, frankly, I think they look cool, and I like broadcast quality gear. All right, next up. This is a little gadget called an ELGATO Stream Deck. I have this critter on my desk right here. It enables me to program macros, hotkeys, and for example, I can do something called pushing a lower third. So if you see that lower third appear on the screen below me, or if I switch over to Marisa, you can see her lower third show up as well, okay? I can also say for a call to action, if I come back and I say, hey, if you want to learn more and actually work with us, we have an application that's at superpower.io/apply. All right. So there's all kinds of other hotkeys and cool stuff you can program. But for me, it's a big time saver, and it's a little bit nerdy. So how am I switching camera? Well, that's this device called an AIRTURN Quad BT105. Again, this is ultra nerdy, probably beyond what most people do, and it does require a certain level of thinking. So when I'm doing an interview right now and I'm saying, hey, welcome to the video, it's nice to have you here, Marisa, and you say,
hello, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much.
All right, and then I switch back to a medium shot and back to me, and you can see that this becomes very elegant. It does take some coordination. Most people are going to want to have an operator. And it is possible, but what I love is the fact that I do no post-production whatsoever. But when I have one of our clients come in, so when Marisa and I are doing something we call Vision Day, I like to bring people in, do an interview with them, and turn that into an article. And this ends up going online. It can become an article in Entrepreneur Magazine. I can write about you or something in Forbes, but it allows me to get the message out very quickly and also broadcast live too. All right, what next? So the textured tiles, told you about those already. I have Bluetooth lights and some LED light kits, which I will show you right now. The LED kits, I've been using a brand called GVM. It's just Chinese stuff. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3 sets of those in here for really good lighting. And then these Bluetooth lights are what you see behind me right now. So if you see kind of that nice colored wall, or behind us here up on top. Again, it just adds a little bit of dimension and depth. So again, these are hyper giant, but again, all this stuff comes from China, and you know, God knows it works good enough. What I like about all of this is everything is connected to Alexa. So I won't say the word while I'm in here, but I have a phrase I say when I walk in, because Alexa just woke up a moment ago. I give it that word, and absolutely everything turns on. And I also do the same thing at the end of the day. So this entire system is completely computer controlled and voice operated. Okay, next up. Oh, let me show you the other gadget that you might be wondering about. The TV behind me, it's just a cheap thing from Costco, $500, TCL 65-inch. Why do I do this? Branding. That's why, because I can change the branding at any time behind me when I'm doing shows. I do podcasts and also switching back and forth. It creates some beautiful continuity. Screens are so cheap these days. One of the things I contemplated doing is putting a massive display right here, but enough people have said, they like the organic feel. Is that what you think too?
Absolutely. And then you can kind of customize the color palette.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I've decided as well. Okay. So next up, told you about the Roku TV and the wall mount, cables and monitors up the wazoo. Now, just for the record, I've built 7 studios that have been anywhere from $250,000 up to close to $1 million. And I know the people who can hook this up. They're part of my team. That's part of when we work together. Some of the folks that we work together choose to build studios so they can do podcasting or model and do the same thing. You know, so part of our process is media training. But back to the technical side of things. All this has to be wired up and controlled. With the simpler system like the Sling Studio, a lot of it's wireless. But one of the things that you can't see here is I've got a teleprompter monitor and some other screens and some gadgets to fill this out. So I'm able to do significant meetings, create content. In the case, Marisa and I right now are spending the entire day creating content and articles and enrollment videos, stuff for Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. So all this can be done in a very short period of time. All right, next up. This is really important. Air conditioning, controlling your environment. This is a very controlled environment. I've got theatrical curtains behind us to help with the noise. There isn't a lot of bounce in here, but I can chill this thing down to 60 degrees if I want to. But I don't want to. And Marisa doesn't want me to either, does she?
No, not at all.
So, but it's also, the entire unit is several walls away. There's zero noise, no airflow problems, no air is touching the microphone. Very, very beautiful and controlled. All right. Next, the theatrical curtains. Well, you can see them right there behind Marisa. And if I switch to a little video, this is Joe Polish. When he was here, you can see it knocks out the subject really well, well lit. Again, if you look at Marisa, same thing. Now she's wearing a darker color, so that may or may not work. One of the things that we're going to do is put some beautiful blue light or some colored light behind her. And I just ordered some lights today. It was Marisa's idea. So there's always a few tweaks that go on behind the scenes. So this particular studio right here, compared to my really expensive ones, significantly more affordable. You could build a minimal studio using the Sling Studio, some cameras, screens, etc., probably for around $15,000, not including setup. But it's television production quality. With this, I know for a fact I can look and say it's because of this that I've closed over $1.5 million worth of business, not to mention some of the other big relationships that are in motion right now. It's because I'm able to produce really, really good, high-quality video connection content, and it's personalized. It's really special. And if you want to have an elevated brand, I think this is critical. So I can do media, interviews, podcasts. Everything is controlled by Alexa and my iPhone. And I think this is the future. If you want to be relevant and you want to connect with more people, and you want the ability to do webinars, podcasts, content, get on television, being video friendly and video knowledgeable is mission critical. And here I'll give you an example right behind me right now. This is the podcast that I do with Dan Sullivan. So I always have this image behind me when I'm doing the interview. So at this point, what I want to do is turn to Marisa. I know you've got some questions and some clarifying things that I hope I know will add more value. So take it away.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned some of the ways you use this studio. It's follow-ups, proposals, media interviews, meetings. What is that list? What are some of the unconventional or maybe surprising ways that you use this space and this really capability?
Okay, so what I've been using it for is I bring in people from out of town, and anytime I have a chance, because this is in my home as well, it enables me to bring in multiple people and sit down. Like I had Joe Polish, he just so happened to be in town, bam, sat him down, did an interview, and in that case, it helped him enroll people for Genius Network. But it also works for remote guests as well. And this is my workspace. So during the day, I do all my Zoom meetings here. Again, I can change the branding behind me depending on who it is. Anytime I have a connection, so let's say I come back from an event, I will sit down and make 10 or 12 rapid fire, really high quality videos. And in this case, I'll open up to the widescreen and I'll say, welcome, my name is Mike Koenigs, and then I'll turn to this camera and have a conversation and talk. And then I might turn to the computer and show some slides back and forth like I did with you. Boom. It turns in, and I drag and drop this file to iMessage and send that off to the person, or I send it via Facebook Messenger or LinkedIn or whatever platform that person's on, even WhatsApp. I get an almost instantaneous response from everyone saying, holy cow, no one else does this. First of all, they want to know how it's done, and that's one of the reasons I'm making this video. But the other reason is it creates a level of intimacy, and that person that I'm connecting with feels really, really important and valued. So that's the answer.
I mean, from a business lead generation standpoint, a lot of folks are used to, they've got their template and their follow-ups, and it just takes a very few minutes to customize and send that stuff out. And you touched on that just now, but really just the advantage, the unfair advantage really of having that level of personalization, that instant report. What are some of the other things that you've noticed?
Okay, so one of the techniques, which I've used for years, see where it's on the chair by you, it's money phone, right? So even you and I as we're working on content today, we're creating sequential videos for LinkedIn for all the connections. So I think having video follow-up is really important, and for that we're using clickedin.io to automate that process. So when someone meets me on ClickedIn right now, that system is out making connection requests and then following up with high-quality videos. Next, I think this is one of the best ways to record an audiobook, and for that matter, to write a book as well. So one of the really great uses of this would be, when you and I decide to write the superpower book, you and I will get together, set it up interview style, and cross-interview where you're the muse or I'm the muse, back and forth. We'll have all that transcribed in real time, pass it along, first pass to a writer who's going to edit it for us, and then turn that thing around super, super fast. Also making digital products. So one of the things that I've got to get done early next week is I've got to create a whole training video, and it's going to revolve around using video to enroll people in the multi-$100,000, so ultra high-end closing strategies and techniques. So all those things are a fast way of setting yourself apart. But from my perspective, in the old days, to do a multi-camera production like this, not only was complicated, expensive, but then the post-production, you know what it's like working with a team. It might be weeks until you get the video edited because they're always, the editors are always too busy. I like taking that out.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking, you know, for people who aren't as coordinated as you are, because you've got a lot going on over there, how many humans would it take to get the studio set up, to produce a single video, edit a video? You know, what does the teamwork look like?
And you're talking about in the old days, or if they modeled this and created something that'd be a little bit simpler and less expensive?
Yes,
okay, great. All right. So what I would say is if you started with the Sling Studio and simpler cameras, you can get by with an iPad and that. And then you could press the iPad to switch and do something a little less sophisticated, or get an operator in and then batch them all in one day. Because what's great is you can start the recording and stop the recording, and you can do that very, very simply and easily, and then walk away and you're done. Or you could also do, let's say, broadcast to Facebook Live or YouTube Live. But the net is you can get by with one person, and someone who's a knowledgeable production person could set this whole thing up by just watching the YouTube videos.
Cool. So you mentioned a pretty wide budget range, from very lean to the iPad to this $35,000 situation. How can people determine like the right investment level for their needs?
Okay. Well, of course, when folks work with us and the superpower.io visioning process, this is one of the things that, for example, we did with one of our clients, Brett, which is to figure this out. Some of it is if you're on your own and you're unwilling to invest, well, you could spend weeks or months and spend thousands of dollars wasting your time. So my advice would be either work with us, or hire someone who's production knowledgeable, who knows how to do this. Obviously, working with us is a significant expense, and we don't specialize in doing studios. So if someone's saying, oh, I just want a studio, we're not your people, obviously. We roll this into building a major platform and working with people who want to reinvent themselves. But I'd say, again, find a videographer, maybe work with someone who might have a wedding videography experience or something like that. Mm-hmm.
Well, if someone wants to work with us, what can they do and where should they go? Right
on. So let's, we'll put that up right now. This is the application. You can go to superpower.one/apply, and Marisa and I will review your application, and we will get notified immediately. And then we do something we call an alignment conversation. We talk about what you need and want. And also, if you want to learn a little bit more about something we call our Vision Day, that is available at superpower.one/vision. This is where we actually work with you. We help create and reinvent you and build a platform, and you walk away with a concrete plan and also knowledge of the team you need to execute this. So that's the answer. So anything else?
I don't think so.
No. So, well, hopefully you've enjoyed this and you've learned a lot from the experience, and you've got a taste for what's possible to completely automate your production and your video content as well.